Okay, guys, we are finishing up Chapter 7 and looking at Section 4, Ratification in the Bill of Rights. Now, our essential question here, could the Constitution be written without compromise? We've discussed the Articles of Confederation, and we looked at the First Continental Congress and what took place in here. Section 4, we're going to list the key issues in the constitutional debate. 2, you're going to explain how the Constitution was finally ratified. And then 3, describe how the Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution. You should have your notes in front of you. Make sure you're filling out those notes as we go along. So there's a debate between Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Basically, root word Federalist meaning national government. Should there be a national government, or anti, should there not be a national government? Remember, unlike the Articles of Confederation, there is a need for 9 of the 13 states to agree in order to ratify the Constitution, or before it could go into in effect. And so we have the Federalist position. They believed in a strong central government. They also believed that the Articles of Confederation weakened the federal government. Basically, remember, the government had no power. All 13 states had to agree for anything to be passed. They couldn't tax. There was an inability to raise an army, and so really Federalists felt that the Articles made our country weak. In addition, they believed the Constitution would give the government the authority needed to make sure it functioned well. Again, ability to tax, to raise an army, to defend our country, etc. They also believed that the Constitution would protect the powers of not only the central government, but also the individuals, each person within the state. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we look at how they compromised or came together. James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, these particular individuals wrote something called the Federalist Papers. You'll get a chance to look at these in greater detail and what was actually these papers consisted of. But in a nutshell, it outlined reasons why there was a need for a strong central government, or to put forth an argument, again, looking at the fact that we had foreign countries who were on our lands, or Spain, who didn't allow us to use their ports, even though it was affecting our trade. And so it does kind of outline those things. So we have the anti-federalist position. Anti, again, meaning not for a strong national or central government. They thought the national government would be too strong and that it would weaken the states. They also believed that the president would have too much power. Remember, under the Great Compromise, there was 3 branches, and part of those 3 branches was the executive branch, which would give the country a president or a leader. They also felt that the Constitution in its current state did not have a Bill of Rights, and we'll discuss basically later on what those Bill of Rights would spell out. So the key issues for anti-federalists was a need for a Bill of Rights. So how did the states ratify the Constitution? Delaware was the first to ratify the Constitution, to agree with it. Later on, you would have Rhode Island to come along, and that gave the necessary votes for the Constitution to be passed. So July 4th, circle this date, 1788 in Philadelphia, the Constitution was ratified. What was needed was a Bill of Rights, and because the Bill of Rights was added, it made the anti-federalists more comfortable with passing the Constitution. So George Washington was elected as our president unanimously. We'll talk more about that in our next section. And John Adams, he was elected as vice president. First Congress was held in New York City, which was our first designated capital in America. And James Madison introduced, or he wrote the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which was the Bill of Rights. We're going to look later at the 27 amendments in our next section and discuss those. But key amendments, the first 10 amendments to the Bill of Rights. And then lastly, the Bill of Rights, as I just said earlier, spelled out the simple rights of each citizen, their natural rights. Remember, we discussed the idea that there are unalienable rights that are given by God, and so the Bill of Rights spells those rights out in itself. So let's recap. If you look here, the Articles of Confederation, very weak, didn't allow us to operate as a government. You had uprisings such as Shay's Rebellion that broke loose because of the conflicts between the states and the government. And then we see that once the Constitution goes into effect, it divides up the power between the state and national governments. There's compromise over slavery, at least to this point. The issue of slavery is dealt with, and then a Bill of Rights is added. And this allows us to be the oldest running constitutional monarchy, and also acts as an example for other countries who are trying to establish their governments as well. So what I want you to do now, if you haven't done your Section 2 summary in Moodle, you need to make sure you have that completed by today, Tuesday at 3:05, because your grade gets posted into RenWeb. Then secondly, go ahead and summarize our Section 4 notes, and this is also to be completed in Moodle as well. Make sure that you're checking that you're answering and addressing all of your SWBOT objectives and answering your essential question.